There are moments when the sky breaks its silence, when lights appear where nothing should be, when shapes move with no sound, no reason, no explanation. Across cities, over oceans, beside airplanes, something is watching. And what's captured on camera isn't folklore, isn't science fiction, it's real. Tonight we dive into the most undeniable UFO encounters ever seen. Not blurry, not imagined, but clear, so clear even skeptics stop speaking. Stay close, watch every second, because what you're about to see may change what you believe about the sky above. It began on an ordinary afternoon. People walked through the crowded streets of downtown, cars honking, shop signs blinking, voices tangled in urban noise. But then the rhythm broke. One by one, heads turned upward. It wasn't a sound that drew them, it was a silence, a hush from above. There in the clear sky between glass towers, something hovered, not a plane, not a drone. Its shape was smooth, almost too perfect. It glided with no wings, no blinking lights, like a stone floating on water, defying gravity with ease. A man held up his phone. His fingers trembled as he zoomed in. The object shimmered slightly, like metal, but not. It turned gently, revealing a soft underside that rippled like heat. Then, as quickly as it came, it drifted behind the clouds, as if it had never been there at all, but it had. And the people who saw it would never forget how the air had changed, as if something intelligent had stared down and moved on. Far from shore, where the water deepens and the world forgets land, a boat rocked gently under a moonless sky. The fishermen had stopped speaking. The sea was too quiet, too still. Then a glow appeared ahead. It was orange. Not the soft orange of a sunset, but deeper, burning yet without flame. It hovered just above the waves, flickering like a torch in slow motion. They turned the boat toward it. The engine whined. The water cut sharp. But then more lights emerged behind them. 1, 2, 3. 13 in total, perfectly spaced, like silent watchers forming a line across the sea. The men froze. The glow from the lights reflected on the black surface, making it look like the sky had fallen into the water. They weren't stars. They didn't move like flares. They didn't blink like aircraft. They just followed, no sound, no splash. Only a quiet pressure in the air, like being watched through glass. When they turned to look again, the lights were gone. The boat drifted in silence, and no one dared to speak for a long, long time. The night was quiet. A man pointed his telescope at the moon, hoping to see craters and shadows, but he saw something else. 2 small dark objects floated just above the lunar surface. They didn't move fast, they didn't blink. They simply hovered, silent and still, like observers watching from afar. Through the lens, they looked almost oval, too round for stars, too smooth for space rocks. They drifted slowly, side by side, casting thin shadows across the silver curve of the moon. Then they disappeared, no trail, no flash, just gone. The man lowered his camera. His hands were shaking. What flies that close to the moon and vanishes? By the shore, a traveler was filming the calm ocean. Waves rolled gently under a blue sky, and the world seemed at peace. But then, as he zoomed in to admire the distant line of the horizon, a shape appeared. It hovered low over the water. Far but not too far to see. Silver, oval, still. It didn't sway with the wind, it didn't reflect like metal, yet it shimmered. The man whispered, "What is that?" But the ocean had no answer. The object remained for only seconds, then darted sideways and vanished behind a curtain of cloud. Was it real, or did the sea breathe something unknown that day? A thick wall of clouds rolled across the sky, white and slow, like cotton mountains. Nothing seemed out of place until something moved from within them. A small object drifted out, shaped like a teardrop. It didn't fall. It didn't rise. It glided sideways, smooth and measured, as if scanning the sky. When zoomed in, the object shimmered at the edges, almost like a mirage. But it cast a faint shadow on the clouds below. It didn't belong, and yet it moved with purpose. Moments later, the clouds swallowed it whole. Whatever it was, it never came back out. High above Earth, cameras from the International Space Station stared into the void. One small, blinking light appeared in the blackness. Not far from the station, it hovered, steady and pulsing as if alive. It didn't drift. It didn't tumble like debris. It stayed in one place, blinking in a slow rhythm. NASA's voices spoke calmly in the background, but the camera stayed locked on the object, as if someone on Earth also knew this wasn't normal. No explanation followed, only the light, and then darkness again. The sky above California glowed with evening haze. Below, the city buzzed with noise and motion, but above it, something was still. A round, glowing object floated silently through the sky. It made no noise, no trail, it didn't blink. It just moved slow and confident. People on the street pointed. Phones came out. The object was too low to be a star, too smooth to be a plane. It turned ever so slightly. Then it simply faded, not like vanishing. More like it became the sky itself. On a long-haul flight, a passenger sat by the window. The sky outside was endless, blue, and full of clouds. She lifted her phone just for fun, and then she froze. Between the clouds, just meters away, a dark figure floated. It wasn't solid, it shimmered at the edges, it looked aware. The shape drifted closer for a moment, then melted into mist. No one else saw it, no announcement was made. The engines kept roaring, but the footage remained. A shape beside a plane at 30,000 feet, and no one could explain it. Above New Zealand's frozen glaciers, a tourist filmed the breathtaking white landscape. Suddenly, a flash of movement zipped across the sky. Fast, low, smooth. The camera barely caught it, a metallic dart moving too quick to track. No sound. No contrail, just motion, sharp and precise. By the time the tourist realized what had happened, it was already gone. Not a bird, not a jet. Something faster, something older, something that didn't want to be followed. Another passenger, another flight. This time the sky outside was full of glowing clouds, but near the wing a strange object drifted. It was classic in shape, a flying saucer just like the stories. Flat bottom, curved top, silver and still. It stayed close to the plane. It didn't shake in the wind. It didn't react to turbulence. It watched. Then, after a long moment, it tilted and vanished, sliding sideways into a cloud. There was no alarm, no one screamed. But the passenger knew what they saw, and the camera never lied. A wide, open field stretched beneath a black sky. There were no houses, no roads, just wind and stars. But then they appeared, tiny lights distant, blinking like scattered jewels on the edge of the earth. They didn't move like planes. They didn't belong to any tower or machine. One of them began to rise, slowly, quietly, as if being lifted by invisible strings. The others stayed low, pulsing gently, forming a crooked arc across the ground. The man holding the camera could feel it. Something was above him and something was watching. And then they vanished all at once, like someone flipping a switch in the sky. High above the clouds, a commercial plane soared in perfect rhythm. From below, someone filmed it, tracking its smooth path across the blue. But near the belly of the aircraft, a second shape appeared. Darker, sharper, quieter. It flew beside the plane for several seconds, matching its speed, mirroring its movement. Too close for comfort, too perfect for chance. Then, with a sudden tilt, it darted to the left and vanished behind a thin cloud. What flies like that, without a sound? There was no moon that night, only a silent countryside and a man standing with his camera. Then a light appeared, hanging motionless in the sky, bright, white, and round. He zoomed in. It didn't flicker, it didn't move. It simply was present and impossible to ignore. It didn't look like a drone, too high, too steady. And yet it pulsed, a slow heartbeat of light, steady, and patient. Then, without warning, it blinked out. The stars returned. But the man knew that one wasn't a star. On a quiet plain in the middle of nowhere, a group of people stood in disbelief. A cow, yes, a full-grown cow, was floating above the ground. No ropes, no wind, no sound. It wasn't falling, it wasn't moving. It simply hung in the air as if suspended by something we couldn't see. Then behind a thick cloud, a circular shape shimmered faintly, metallic, almost hidden. A low hum vibrated through the air, and just like that, the cow disappeared. Into the sky, into the light, into the unknown. In Okinawa, Japan, a man stepped out onto his terrace. He always liked to look at the stars. But this night, one of them was different. It blinked in a pattern, not random, not like a plane. It pulsed, paused, pulsed again. He recorded it, zoomed in. There was no movement. It didn't drift with the sky. It sat, high and quiet, like an eye above the city. Then, just as his phone adjusted focus, the light blinked once more and was gone. Heavy clouds blanketed the city like smoke. But above them, something glowed. A perfect circle, misty at the edges, rested above the rooftops. At first, people thought it was the moon, but the glow was wrong. It flickered in unnatural rhythms, and the edges moved like they were alive. Then, as the wind picked up, the glowing shape tilted. It was not a cloud. It was hiding in the clouds, and when it moved away, it left no trace, only cold air. Late at night, two lights floated close together in the sky. They pulsed softly like breathing lungs. At first, they didn't move. They hovered as if tethered by an unseen thread. Then slowly, like a silent goodbye, they began to drift apart. One moved left, the other right. Both faded into the clouds, vanishing like morning fog. They came together, they left apart, and no one knew why. On the edge of a storm, a man noticed something strange. Inside a thick cloud formation, a disk shape began to glow. It was faint, hidden, but it was there, round, massive, and faintly humming with light. It didn't move like the wind. It didn't shift like the sky. It stayed anchored in the air. As the storm grew louder, the object faded. But the man never forgot the shape inside the cloud, a ship resting where no ship should ever be. In 2007, a young man in Costa Rica pointed his old Motorola flip phone at the sky. The footage was grainy, shaky, imperfect, but what he captured was a saucer-shaped object moved smoothly across the sky, low, steady, silent. No wings, no blinking lights, just motion. Years later, when the clip was stabilized, the image became clear. A perfect craft gliding across a sunny sky like it belonged there. No one expected proof to come from a flip phone. But the sky doesn't care about cameras. Through the lens of a military aircraft camera, something strange floated in the night sky. It didn't flash, it didn't race. It simply turned slowly like a spinning stone drifting in darkness. One pilot laughed nervously. "It's rotating, dude," he whispered. The others were silent. It wasn't shaped like a plane. It looked more like a black potato, bulky, awkward, yet moving with unnatural grace. It hovered, spun once more, and then slipped out of frame, as if it knew it had been seen. Music boomed from the beachside party. Colors danced in the night. People laughed, drank, moved. And then someone looked up. Above the flashing lights, a shape glowed, soft and golden like a floating jellyfish in the sky. It pulsed slowly. It didn't match any light on Earth. Some thought it was a drone, but it didn't move, it didn't film, it simply watched. And when the music faded, the light was already gone. A plane soared across a golden sunset. Behind it, something appeared. A dark oval shape hovered just beyond the tail, steady and fast. It didn't wobble, it didn't fall behind, it kept pace. Passengers never noticed. Only one person, filming from below, caught it in frame. The object hovered for a breath, then shrank and vanished into vapor. Some say it was a shadow, others aren't so sure. A man looked up and saw the moon. It was full, bright, familiar. He lifted his camera, admiring its glow, but as he zoomed in, he froze. There were no craters, no texture, no depth. It wasn't the moon at all. It was a perfect glowing sphere, hovering in silence, and as the clouds shifted, the real moon appeared beside it, slightly smaller, slightly dimmer. He filmed both, whispering, "One is real, the other is something else." Clouds drifted lazily above a quiet hill, but one part of the sky didn't move. A black shape, flat and wide, rested silently, almost blending with the clouds. Almost. It didn't make a sound, didn't glow, didn't announce itself. It was just there, like a forgotten stone in the sky. Even the birds avoided it. And when the wind picked up, it drifted away, leaving no ripple, no trail, no proof. Just a strange emptiness where something had been. On a lonely stretch of highway, trucks roared past each other, engines groaning under heavy loads. But above them, a massive black object floated low, just above the rooftops of the trailers. It moved at the same speed as the trucks. Silent, flat, featureless, no lights, no markings, no sound. Drivers noticed, some sped up, others slowed down. One man recorded it through his windshield, whispering, "It's following us." And then, just as the convoy neared a hill, the object rose and vanished into the clouds. From her airplane window, a girl gazed at the white clouds below. She blinked. There, two dark objects floated between the cloud layers. They didn't move. They didn't fall. They waited. She pressed her phone to the window, trying to focus. But the shapes didn't care. They hovered in silence, like eyes watching from beneath the sky's skin. As the plane passed, they remained behind, still and distant, like a secret the clouds refused to share. A man in the countryside noticed something dart across the sky. He grabbed his camera and began to film. His hands shook. The image bounced, but the object stayed in view, dark, oval, spinning slightly. It didn't follow the wind. It moved in curves, precise, mathematical, almost like it was scanning. After a minute, it tilted, shot upward, and vanished in a blink. The man lowered the camera. No planes had moved like that before. Not here, not anywhere. Night had fallen, thunder should have followed. But the sky only flickered with light, silent white flashes inside the clouds. No sound, no rain, just light dancing in rhythmic pulses. The camera captured it all. Electric shapes moved behind the clouds, too slow for lightning, too exact for nature. Some said it was heat lightning, but the sky was cold, and the pattern too perfect. Something was alive in the clouds. And it didn't need thunder to speak. From space, a camera on the ISS drifted over Earth's curve. Then a light appeared at the edge of the atmosphere. Tiny, controlled, moving against the orbit. It floated, paused, then darted upward, not down to Earth, not around the planet. Up into deeper space. No satellites moved like that. No debris danced like that. It was the last frame before the feed cut, and in that final moment, Earth seemed just a little smaller. You've seen them, 30 moments that defy reason. 30 encounters caught not in imagination, but in light, shadow, and motion. They appeared without warning, and they left without answers, but one truth lingers: they were seen. So now we ask you, what do you believe? Which sighting felt real to you? Have you ever witnessed something in the sky you couldn't explain? Let us know in the comments. We're reading everything, every story, every theory, every question. Because here at X-Site, we're not just watching the skies. We're listening, and whatever they are, they're closer than we think.